How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. We're studying Daf Kuf Lamed, Daf 130 of Masechta BavaBasra. Friends, alright. I anticipate that there's going to be a lot of background noise in this episode of Babylon Talmud, except for Simchas Torah over here. Alrighty, where are we? Azoi. Alrighty. Alright, let's do this. So we're going to start on Daf, a new Mishnah. We're going to finally learn the Mishnah of Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka, because it's been coming up already for the past few days. So now we're going to learn about the Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka and some other interesting things. Says the Mishnah on Daf Kuf Lamed Amud Aleph at the top of the Amud, Ha'omer ish ploni yirosheni b'makom sheyesh bas. So, if you have, let's say, Ruvain's the dyer, and his father is Yankif, and his son is Chanoch, and his daughter is Dina, and his brother is Shimon. How does that sound? So, Ha'omer, so Ruvain, the dyer, he says, Ish ploni yirosheni b'makom sheyesh bas. So, for example, Ruvain does not have a son, but he's got a daughter, Dina. And, so, so when he dies, who inherits him? His daughter, Dina. But he says, no, Dina is not going to inherit me. My brother Shimon, he's going to inherit me. So again, so Omer, ish ploni yirosheni b'makom sheyesh bas. So when he has a daughter, nonetheless, he says his brother Shimon's going to inherit him. Biti yirosheni b'makom sheyesh ben. Alternatively, if he has a son, Chanoch, and he says, yeah, but he's not going to inherit me. My daughter Dina is going to inherit me. So in both scenarios, that's not the normal inheritance, right? In the first case, the daughter should inherit him. In the second case, the son should inherit him. So lo omar klum, his statement is irrelevant. Shehisna mashakos b'Torah, because he made a stipulation, he made a t'nai on that which is written in the Torah. It says in the Torah, right, we learn from the Torah that in the first case the daughter would inherit him, in the second case the son would inherit him. He can't decide that in the first case his brother's going to inherit him, and in the second case his son's going to inherit him. He can't change the rules. Azoi. So, fine. Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka Omer, says Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka, Im Omer al mi sheroi li yorsho dvarv kayomin. However, if he says this about somebody who is fit to inherit him, well, then it works. And we're going to have to explain what exactly is Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka saying. But if he makes this statement about somebody who is not fit to inherit him, so maybe fit might not be the best word, but anyways, somebody who's not fit to inherit him, so then his words are, then what he says is irrelevant. But if it's fit, if it's a person who's fit to inherit him, then it works. Now the shayla is what exactly are we talking about in this Mishnah? So now, says the right, what exactly are we talking about in this Mishnah? Says the Gemara, Taima de acher b'makim bas uvas b'makim ben. So when the Tana Kama says that his statement is irrelevant because he's mashna mashkos b'Torah, that's specifically if, in the first case his daughter was supposed to inherit him, but he says his brother is going to inherit him instead. Or in the second case, his son was supposed to inherit him, but he says his daughter is going to inherit him instead. So the Tana Kama says in those cases what he says is irrelevant. However, where am I? Time of the acher b'makom bas uvas b'makom ben. Ben abonim uvas ben abonis. But if he has a few sons, right? Let's say he's got a few kids. I don't know. There's a few kids over there. Let's say he's got a few kids. Chanoch and who else is Chanoch's children? Chanoch's and Chanich and Henich. He's got three kids. Reuven has Chanoch, Chanich, and Henich. Chanoch, Chanich, Henich. Reuven didn't actually have a child named Chanich and Henich, but he does now. So if Reuven has three kids, Chanoch, Chanich, and Henich, so then if he says that Henich is gonna redeem the whole estate, so then Azoi, so then Henich receives the whole estate, right? Because, right, anyways, the estate needed to be divided up among the three boys. So Henich was anyways entitled to part of the estate. So if Ruvain says that Henich is gonna inherit the whole estate, so he can do that. He can do that. They were saying the Tanakama says this, right? So again, from the beginning of the Gemara, Taimo, the reason why the Tanakama says that he's masna mashkosa b'Torah and it's no good is the acher b'makom bas uvas b'makom ben. He was talking about his brother when really his daughter should inherit, or his son, or his daughter when really his son should inherit. Ben abonim, but if he just chooses one of his sons, that anyways all of the sons have a right to part of the estate, and he says, you know what, I'm actually going to give the entire estate to one of them. Well then, uvas ben abonis, or similarly, if there were no sons but there were daughters, and he says that, you know, one of my daughters is just going to get everything, dvar of kayomin. In that case, it would taka work, right? Because the Mishnah specifically says, right, acher b'makom bas, or bas b'makom ben. It's the wrong person. But if it's somebody who, the implication being that if it's somebody who's anyway shaykh to the inheritance, to the Yerusha, so Reuven can say all of it is going to go to that child. Givaldik. Right, so where am I? So ben abonu, uvaz ben abonu is dvar of kayomin. Ema seifa, but one second. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, maybe we then say that Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka's opinion is im omer al mi shera'ui liyorsho dvar of kayomin. That Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka says that if he makes a statement about somebody who's fit to inherit him, so then the statement is valid. Hainu Tanakama, but isn't that the same thing as the Tanakama? When Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka says that when he makes a statement about somebody who's fit to inherit him, is that not talking about, one of his sons? He says that this particular son is just going to get everything. Is that not what Ra'ui Liyarsho means? So if that's the case, then the Tanakama and Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka are saying the same exact thing. They're both saying that if he's got a few sons and he says one of them is going to inherit everything, that's acceptable, both according to Tanakama and according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. So what's the machlokes? Right, fine. So I know Tanakama. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka is then, it sounds like, apparently saying the same thing as the Tanakama. V'chitem Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka afilu acher b'makom bas uvaz b'makom ben ka'amar. And if you're going to say, well, actually Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka is different than the Tanakama, he goes a step further. He would actually disagree with the Tanakama and say that afilu acher, I'm reading that again, b'makom bas, that even, let's say, his brother instead of his daughter, uvas b'makom ben, or his daughter instead of his son, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka would say that even there, his statement would be valid. But that can't be Vatani. Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Omer, that his son Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Omer, lo nechliku abba b'chachomim al acher b'makom bas b'makom ben. That actually, no, the Tanakama and my father agree when it comes to, his brother Shimon instead of his daughter, or his son instead of his daughter. Shaloy Marklum, in that case, what he says is irrelevant. Amanechaku, where do they argue? Al ben abanu uvas ben abanus. The machlokas is actually with regard to when he says one of my sons is going to inherit everything, or one of my daughters is going to inherit everything. So, what exactly is going on? What exactly is going on? Well, I'm sorry. So let me go back to the saying Sha'ab Omer, that my father says Yirash, that when he says ben abanim, this son will inherit, or this daughter will inherit among girls. The Chachamim lo Yirash, and the Chachamim say no. So what exactly is going on over here, right? Because on the one hand, we wanted to imply from the Chachamim statement that ben abanim or bas ben abonis would be valid. But if that's the case, then what's Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka saying? And if we try to say, well, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka is taking a step further and saying that no, even acher b'makom bas and bas b'makom ben, sorry for the confusion. Even there, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka would say his statement is valid, but that can't be because his son, Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, is saying that actually my father would agree with the Chachamim that in that case, when it's acher b'makom bas or bas b'makom ben, that his statement would be irrelevant. So what exactly is going on here? Yeah, sorry about these. It's been a little bit confusing these days. Yeah, I mean, I guess I had said at the beginning of the parak that it's a shtickle Bavid Bivamis. This is a shtickle Bavid Bivamis. So okay, so we give two suggestions for how to answer this. Suggestion number one. Okay, one way to say it is, look, this is just Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, right? Meaning we had suggested that Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka would say that even by Acher b'makom bas or bas b'makom ben, Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka would say that the statement is valid. Comes his son Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka to say that no, he agrees with the Chacham there that what he says is irrelevant. However, from the fact that Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Omer lo nechaku, the implication being that the Chachamim, however, I gotta sneeze 1 second. That the Chachamim, however, would disagree with Rabbi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, and they would say that Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka actually does argue in that scenario of Acher b'makom bas or bas b'makom ben, and say that a statement is valid there as well. So one way to explain it is that you can say that actually Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka does argue also when it comes to Acher b'makom bas and bas b'makom ben that the statement would be valid. Alternatively, midika amar. Wait, that's statement number one. The next one is the Ibai Sema. Alternatively, 4 lines into the wide lines. Kule de Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Actually, there's no machloka. This Mishnah is not a machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Rather, the Mishnah is entirely Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. There's some missing words. We gotta touch the Mishnah shtickle. Ha'omer ish ploni yirosheni b'makom sheish bas. If a person says this other person, for example, his brother, is going to inherit him instead of his daughter, Biti tirasheni b'makom sheish ben, or my daughter will inherit me instead of my son. Loi amar klum. What he says is irrelevant. Habas ben abonis, but a daughter among daughters, uven ben abonim, or a son among sons. Im amr yirash kol nechasav. If the father says that this child will inherit all of my stuff, this particular child, the Dvar of Kayam, and his statement is valid. Rabbi Yochanan Omer, because Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka says, Im Omer al mi shera'oi liyarsho Dvar of Kayam, that if he says this about somebody who is fit to inherit him, so then what he says is valid. So according to this explanation, there's actually no machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka in the Mishnah. It's just all Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka's opinion that his statement is valid when he's talking about ben abonim or bas ben abonis, but not about like his brother instead of his daughter, or his daughter instead of his son. Shtickle Bavid Bivamis. Sorry. Omer Yehuda Amar Shmuel, says Shmuel halacha Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. That the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. V'chein Amar Rava halacha Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Rava Oichet says that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. V'Amar Rava says, Rava, my time with Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Why does Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka say his opinion? Amar Kra, because the pasuk says Vayar b'yom anchilo es banav. That'll be on the day when he bequeaths to his sons. The Torah gives permission to the father to choose that he can bequeath to any of the children that he chooses. It's up to him. So among his children, he can bequeath to any of them. Abai says, So Abai says, no, actually we learn this out from lo yuchal levakar, that the pasuk says that he can't choose to give the double portion, the firstborn portion, to whoever he wants. No, that goes to the firstborn, implying that, okay, so the firstborn portion goes to the firstborn, but any other part of the inheritance can be given to whoever he wants. No, ahu, no. Lo yuchal levakar is needed for something else. The Tanya that we learned in the Brisa, Abuchon Omer Mishum Rabbi Eliezer, says Abuchon in the name of Rabbi Eliezer. Matam lo yuchal levakar. Why does the pasuk say lo yuchal levakar? You don't technically need it to say lo yuchal levakar right there. You can't choose. Right? What does it say? Vayibiyom anchilo es banav eiskal asher lo es asher yiyelo lo yuchal levakar is ben ahuva al pnei ben asnu abechor. Right? This is the beginning of Parshas Kiseitze. Ishes Sifas Torah. So basically, what he has two wives, one he loves, one he hates. And now the Bechor is the son of the one that he hates. So he says, Lo yuchal levaker es ben ahuva. He can't say, well, I'm going to make the son of the one that I love, the Bechor. He can't do that. Right? Then it says, the next one, Ki es Bechor ben anasnua yaker lasis lo pishnayim. So the pasuk already says that he needs to give pishnayim to the Bechor ben asnua. So why do I need Lo yuchal levaker? It's extra. So the Fish and Emar, so the Fish and Emar, because it says Ve'yah, B'yomanchilo es banov. Because the pasuk says V'hoya b'yomanchilo es banov will be at the day that he bequeaths his children. Sheyachov alodinu. I might think that, well, let's compare the Pashit, the rest of the children, to the Bechor, and say, well, Uma Pashit, when it comes to we have a shtickle kavachomer over here. When it comes to the Pashit, Sheyafe kocho, that the Pashit is in a stronger position. Shenota b'roy k'bamuchzok, a Pashit can even inherit stuff that is deserving, that is in the potential for the father to receive, even though he doesn't have it at the time that he dies. Right? B'roy k'bamuchzok. So the Pashit is in a stronger position that he can even inherit b'roy k'bamuchzok, and yet. And yet, the Torah says, so what? If the father wants, he could choose that a different brother gets all of it and he gets nothing. So certainly then I would think that a Bechor Shehura Kocho, who is in a weaker inherent position, that he's unable to receive his firstborn portion from Ra'ui, rather from Muchzak. So he's in a weaker position, lo kolshkin. Certainly I would think that the Bechorah can be given to whichever of the children that he wants. The father can give the Bechorah to any child that he wants. Tamilomar. Therefore it says, lo yuchal levaker, that no, you can't do that. And that is what lo yuchal levaker is needed for, is to teach that no, he can't give the Bechorah to anybody else. It has to go to the Bechor. Okay, so just have lo yuchol levaker. Why do I also need v'yaya bayom anchilo? As banav sheachol v'alodinu. Well, I might think kavachomer ma bechor shehura kocho she'enu not a broike b'muchzok, and yet amator lo yuchol levaker. Well, if by the bechor if by the bechor where he's in the weaker position, right, that he's in the weaker position. In that he's not nota baroy kibamuchzok, and yet the Torah says still only he can get the bechorah. So a pashut sheyafa kocho shenota baroy kibamuchzok. A pashut is in a stronger position that he can receive the inheritance from things that are owed to his father, even though his father didn't have him at the time of the death. Look, kolshkin, certainly the pashut is deserving of the bechor, of getting inheritance, and the father should be unable to just choose to give all of it to one child and leave the other one with nothing. So Tamilom v'hoyu b'yomanchilo as banav atorah nosnu rishus lav lanchil chomisha yirtzeh. No, it says v'hoyu b'yomanchilo as banav, that the father can nonetheless choose to give all of the inheritance to one of his children, and he's allowed to do that. Amar b'zrika, amar b'ami, Amar B'chanina, Amar Rebbe, Halacha Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch, that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch. Amar Le Rabbi Abba, so Rabbi says Hora Itmar. It's not that it says that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch, but rather that Rebbe once paskined that the halacha, right, there was a scenario, and Rebbe actually paskined that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch. But Micah, what's the difference if we say that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch, or that there was an actual story where Rebbe paskined that the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch? Well, one opinion is that by stating that this is the halacha, that's a stronger indication that it's the halacha. The other opinion is that no, the stronger indication that it's the halacha is if we can actually say that there was an actual real life scenario involving real human beings and real people, and the Shiloh was paskined like Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch. That is a stronger indication that really the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Baruch. If we could say that I once saw that Rebbe actually paskin this way, so therefore that's the only difference between if you say halacha or hora, right? Which is the stronger which is the stronger indication that it's the halacha? The fact that we say that the halacha is like that, or that we can actually bring a real case in which the halacha was determined to be like that? Tanarabban of the rabbis taught, in Lemedin halacha, we don't learn out that something is the halacha. Lo mi pi Talmud, v'lo mi pi Maise, at sheyomru lo halacha lemaise. You hear this? For example, if you're learning with your Rebbe, and the Rebbe is learning a sugya in the Gemara, and he says, oh wow, this is mamash a gewaldige opinion. That is not any indication that halacha is like that opinion. Additionally, even if he said, even if you hear, or even if you see a ma'aseh, if you see a ma'aseh where the halacha was passed in a certain way, that doesn't mean that you can just say that this is the halacha all over the place. Until they say halacha l'ma'aseh, until you hear from your Rebbe or from a posek, this is the halacha, go do it. Halacha l'ma'aseh. If you ask a posek and he says, yes, this is the halacha, go do it, so this is how you do it. Yelich v'yaiseh ma'aseh. As long as you don't then try to associate and apply it to other cases. What does it mean as long as you don't apply things to other cases? What do you mean? That's like a basic way of learning Torah, is applying and making connections between different places. Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi, this is what it means. As long as you don't try to apply to other similar scenarios, specifically when it comes to treifus with animals. The Tanya is within the Brisa. In Omen treifus, we don't say by treifus, zo dom zo. This wound is similar to another wound. Because v'atatama, this should not be a surprise. Sharei chotcha mikan v'mesa, chotcha mikan v'chaysa. Because you can have a scenario where you cut an animal in one place and it'll die, and you cut an animal in a very similar place and it will live. So therefore, when it comes to treifus specifically, you can't just say, well, this was the halacha here, that let's just assume it's the halacha somewhere else as well. Rav Asi the Rabbi Yochanan says, Rav Asi the Rabbi Yochanan ki Omer lon mar halacha hachi navid maise. Rav Asi says to Rabbi Yochanan, when you say that the halacha is this way, should we therefore go and actually do things that way? Omer, and he says, Rabbi Yochanan responds, lo sa'avidu, don't do anything adamina halacha lemaise, till I say that this is a halacha and go do it. At that point it means you can do it, but until then not. Rava says to Rav Papa and to Rav Huna Beit Rav Yeshua, ki osi pisko de dino didi lekamaichu. If a psak din of mine, of Rava's, comes before you, michazisu be'pircha, and you have a question on it, Lo sakri'u, don't tear up this document with this halacha on it. Ada asisu l'kamoy, until you bring it before me. Isli taima amina l'chu, and if there's a reason why I said what I said, I'll explain it to you. V'ilo hadrana bi, and if I can't explain it to you, so then I will retract it. La charmisa, and after I'm gone, after I'm dead. Lo mikra tikra'u, also don't tear up the document. Umigmanami lo tigmru mine, but also don't learn from it, don't apply halacha from it. Lo mikra tikra'ine, don't tear it up. Di'avoy osam, doma ava amina l'chutaima, because if I was alive and you would have been able to ask me, maybe I would have explained it, and maybe you'll also figure it out eventually. So therefore, don't tear it up. But at the same time, igmanami lo tigmru mine, don't learn from it, don't apply it to other, apply it as halacha de'in l'dayin l'mashen of rose, because a judge can only judge based on what he sees. And if he has questions on what he sees in the document that comes from me, so then he can't just blindly go based on what he sees there. He needs to, so he would not be able to pass in that way if he has a question on it. Friends, that was Daf Kuf Lamed of Masechta BavaBasra. We learned about the opinion of, finally we got to the Mishnah with Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka's opinion that a father can bequeath all of his inheritance to one of his children. And then we got this interesting Indian at the end of the daf about halacha l'maise, about passing halacha l'maise, that you need to hear from your Rebbe that this is the halacha l'maise, this is the halacha, go and do it. Peace out.